Good morning and welcome to Albuquerque, New Mexico in the 2019 National Senior Games here on ProView Sports. I'm Dana Childs. I'll be calling the action here from the University of New Mexico Track Complex today, where we have literally thousands of athletes competing for gold. We'll be watching the finals today up until about noon, and then we'll have some preliminary rounds with all kinds of different races for you. Not only are there track events, which you're seeing, that we also have some field events going on as well. We'll try and keep you posted on how those are progressing throughout the afternoon. But welcome to the games. I hope you are cheering on maybe one of your neighbors or friends who has traveled to Albuquerque because they've qualified to be in these games. That's great. We thank you for watching this morning, and should be a very, very exciting and enjoyable afternoon as people, I don't want to say old people. I mean, I'm in the demographic, but let's say the elderly, senior games, how active and healthy and vibrant people can be at what some would assume is, over the hill is the term I guess people hear. So not for these athletes today, not over the hill, still very active, still very, very healthy and getting out and doing things. We do have a record number of athletes competing today, somewhere in the neighborhood of 14,000 athletes. We learned last night at the senior games, or at least there was a claim, that this event, the National Senior Games going on right now in Albuquerque, is the largest multi-event, multidisciplinary event or multi-sport event ever, with the number of sports and the number of athletes competing. We could be setting a world record today for participation and events, which would be fantastic. We love those kinds of things here in Albuquerque. What you're watching now are the lead runners in the opening race of the day. This is the 1,500 meters, almost 1 mile, and the age category here is pretty staggering. It's for people that are 80 to 105 years old. 80 to 105 years old, that's pretty amazing, and they're out there doing it. 1,500 meters, that's, 100 meters short of a mile. And some of these athletes putting up a pretty good clip, others kind of doing the run-walk, but they're competing, and that is the name of the game. So it may be a while all of the runners complete the course, but we are watching the leaders right now, and they are going for gold. This is what you're watching, the 1,500-meter finals for athletes between, for women actually, between 80 and 104. The men's category, by the way, gets underway about 10 o'clock, and they only have a competitor as old as 94. I don't know, the women go to 105, men only to 94, or that's all they have that qualified today. So still watching the lead runner as they make their way around the University of New Mexico track. It's a beautiful morning to do anything outdoors in Albuquerque or anywhere in New Mexico. We do hope you enjoy the pictures as well. The opening ceremonies were held last night, and that was a very nice event. Got to touch on and recognize all the people that make this event possible, and the volunteers and things like that, and the sponsors. And that's where we learned about the record number of athletes and that it could possibly be a world record. Everybody's in good spirits, that's for sure. These athletes are fun to talk to. They're so far glad to be in Albuquerque and should provide us with a lot of excitement and enjoyable television viewing today. Josh Brown is our director. We have Jude up on top of the press box bringing us the pictures. And we also have a couple of associates down on the field who will try and catch up with some of the athletes and officials as the day unfolds. We've got a crew down on the floor or on the grass as well. We'll be hearing from Marty and Fred throughout the day to get the impression of some of the athletes. So it's going to be a full day of track here at the University of New Mexico Track Complex, with a full slate of track events, which will last until about 6 o'clock. We're starting out with the distances. We're in the 1,500 meters. Now, part of the reason that there's such a gigantic number of participants is the number of categories. I mean, we have 50 states. If each state sends 2 representatives, that's 100 people right there. And if they each send 2 in each category, that'd be crazy. So in other words, if each state sent 2 competitors to the women's 75-year-old 1,500 meters, that would be 100 people right there. But we also have the women's 65 and older. 60 and under, 55, 50. There's 6 different categories. So there, right there, is possibly 600 athletes, possibly. I know there's 475 competing in pickleball, which is a pretty interesting sport. The competition, the sports, playing out in venues all over Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. But they're all being consolidated with a they're all being consolidated. You can go to the National Senior Games website and get some results and the schedule there. Here at the track, if you're watching the track because you have relatives or friends involved in the race, you can keep up with the track and field events and the competitors by downloading a free app called Finished Results. It's an app, it's free for your device or phone, called Finished Results. And you can download that and keep track of the winners, their places, their times. There's more. Actually, you should download the app because there's more information on this app that I can tell you, even in the 6 hours that we'll be visiting today. So if you're looking for specific information that maybe we're not disseminating, you can find it on that app, Finished Results. And that is only, by the way, only for the events happening here at the track and field. But there's plenty to keep you busy here at the track and field. As we said, 6 different categories, competitors from each state in each category, over somewhere in the neighborhood of 14,000 competitors today. And we're still watching the women's. This is an amazing category. Women 80 to 105 years old competing in the 1,500-meter run. And we are watching our leader, who is over on the far side of the track, about to go into turn number 3. 1,500 meters would be 4 laps around the track. And it's kind of amazing. I can't imagine being 100 years old and having to walk or run a mile. It's one of the amazing things that kind of you sort of realize as you watch these seniors compete with the same attitude and desire that they had when they were 18 or 25. Some people just hold up and look better, you know, as they age. As a group, I haven't seen such a nice-looking, healthy, vibrant group of elderly people as I did last night at the opening ceremonies. So they are living right. They're still staying active and still very competitive, too. And, yeah, even though it looks like they're going kind of slow, they're competitive. They do want to win, and we are watching the 1,500-meter finals. And we are on the back side of the sun. Look at this runner about to get lapped, but I think that is our winner right there. Maybe. Nope, still another lap to go. Nope, that was our winner right there. I'm trying to get a number on her. The sun, obviously, you know, comes up in the east like it has for centuries, eons, but we're on the west side, so we're on the shady side for now. Kind of hard to pick up those participant numbers. But as I said, check with our friends at Finished Results. If you get that app, you'll be able to check the results as they happen. And they've got some good eyes. They have young eyes on the competitors. And can keep track. By the way, the record for this event, National Senior Games record, is 8 minutes, 26 seconds. 8 minutes, 26 and 5. The USA, the national record, is 7:39, almost a minute quicker. And that's for folks in the 80 to 84 aged category. So again, we have records for every age category. Almost every event. Competitors in this 1,500 meters that we've been watching: Hollis Kirkland from Tennessee, Esther Felipe from New Mexico. New Mexico has one of the largest contingents in the games, as you would imagine. We're the host state. Alice Moore, Frances Barger, Edna Heyer, Yvonne Assan from Maryland. Janet Hughes from Virginia. Mary Kaplan is from Texas. Margaret Palmieri from North Carolina. I've talked to a couple of participants from North Carolina. Very nice people, and they seem to be having a great time here in Albuquerque so far. Della Works is from Wyoming. Eleanor Pendergraft from Tennessee. Norma Minkovich from Connecticut. Heidi Mebus from Pennsylvania, and Helen Ann Phillips make up the 14 competitors in the race we've been watching here. This is the women's 1,500 meters for athletes that are 80 to 104 years old. And 8:56.56, the winning time so far. And that was Mebus from Pennsylvania. Kaplan from Texas is second, and Hughes from Virginia third. That's your 1, 2, and 3. There's your podium: bronze, silver, and gold. And yes, they do hand out the medals, and we will see some of that today as well. Again, it's a beautiful morning for any type of activity here in Albuquerque. You are watching the National Senior Games on ProView Networks, and we are into our first event of the day. It's the women's 1,500 meters. At the same time, as the camera pans around the track, you could see on the top of the screen that you might be able to see some field events happening as well. We do have the camera. What you're looking at are people hanging around the pole vault pit. So we do have all the field events going on today as well. And all of those results, like we say, they're available on that app that you can download for free, finished results. Today on the track, today on the field side of things, we have long jump, shot put, discus, hammer, high jump, shot put, discus, all of that, 4 different categories ranging from women 50 years old all the way to women for 99 years old. 99 years old in the long jump. That's pretty amazing. See some competitors still coming across the finish line to close out this opening event. The women's 1,500 meters. Now, normally, we were here just 1 week ago for one of the largest open track and field meets in the nation. It's one of the top 4, the Great Southwest Track and Field Classic. We were here at the very same stadium with the very same setup. And it was a lot of fun, very enjoyable to watch. So as we were here last week, we were using the same app, Finished Results, and it provided us a great deal of information right there at our fingertips, and you have access to the same app. Looking at some finished results now. Mobias, maybe? From just working on the pronunciation there. I'd say Mebus, but maybe it's Mobias. And I apologize as I work our way through these. From Pennsylvania, Kaplan from Texas was second. Phillips, Heyer, and Moore 4, 5, and 6, and then Barger is
we're in and we're this is Heidi from Pennsylvania. She just got done running an 8:56.56. And how does that compare with what you normally do? And compare?
Well, it affected me a tiny little bit because I do better normally.
Okay.
I don't want to brag. On the slow side.
It's a little
must
slow. Okay.
Yes.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
But you're a winner.
Yeah.
She's
number 13.
Yeah, number 13. Did you hear that? She's got a number 13 too.
Yeah.
But anyway, and this is in the 80 to 104, and she's the first winner in the track and field that we've done today. So congratulations, Heidi.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's all coming to Albuquerque.
Well.
Good. Well, I
my
hope you enjoy
husband's
it. This will make it special, right?
Yes, it makes
Good.
it special.
Okay.
And my husband is my coach, and he's very happy too.
Okay. Well, I see your husband right over there. Okay. Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
What is your name?
My name's Fred.
Fred.
Yeah.
Nice to meet
you.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
All right, thank you, Fred. Fred down on the track talking with the winner of our first event, Heidi from Pennsylvania. And there you go. There's just a small taste of the more fun personalities we have in these athletes who are competing. And how about Heidi, the winner, gold medalist in the women's 1,500 meters. And that's in the category of women 80 to 104 years old. 80 to 104. Like to get to 80, let alone still be active at 80. And I can't imagine what 90 and triple digits must be like. And I think our final competitor is about to make her way across the finish line today. This would be a very interesting woman to talk to as well. Probably the oldest competitor in the games, or certainly not one of the oldest. Mebus, Kaplan, and Hughes, the 1, 2, and 3 order. Then it's Phillips, Heyer, and Moore, your order of finish in this opening 1,500 meters. Here on the National Senior Games, it's the 2019 National Senior Games happening in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We are at the University of New Mexico Track and Field Complex. And you're watching this series of events in the National Senior Games on ProView Networks. My name is Dana Childs, and we thank you for watching this morning as we touch base and rub elbows with people from all over the country here to compete for the gold in the National Senior Games. Games would not be possible if it weren't for thousands of volunteers who have stepped up to help out. A lot of companies have also helped out and will pay their employees. They've sent hundreds of employees, but the company will pay for them, and they're calling it paid volunteerism. It's kind of an oxymoron, paid volunteerism, but it gets the job done, and we're happy that some of these corporations and companies stepped up to make it happen. Of course, one of our title sponsors, Humana, very heavily involved in the games. In fact, they are the title sponsor, Humana. So we thank them for their involvement and financial donation, and they've also supplied some people to help execute the events, make sure that things continue to go smoothly. We do have a lot of events on the schedule today, and we assume that they are all going to run on time. They have had these games before, so they know the length involved with the different events, and I hope that the schedule has kind of evolved into something that they're very familiar with and works smoothly. For example, last week here at the Great Southwest Track and Field Classic, they'd run that meet for 44 years. So it was the 44th edition. So you can imagine that the schedule was laid out and they knew what they were doing for the 44th time. This is our first involvement with the National Senior Games. So we appreciate the schedule that they provide and keep us informed. Again, our winning time today, 8:56.56. 8:56.56 for the women 80 to 104 years old. The national record, 8:26. So about 30 seconds, 26, no, we're just 10 seconds. 16, 8. Oh, no, we were 8 minutes off of that record. So try to keep track of the records as they fall, if indeed any of them do. Coming up next, we'll be watching the women's 75-year-old 1,500-meter run. So they list it as women's 75. So that means anyone up to the age of 75 can compete in that. Once you get 76, I imagine you're up to the next category. Same thing, the next category is women's 70. So anything up to 70, once you get above 70. 71, I think he'd go into the 75 and above category. So they have a large category for the people that are 80 to 104, and then they break it down by fives from 75 to 70, 65, 60, and then down to 55 and 50. So still 5 more races to be run in the women's 1,500 meters. And that race is scheduled to get underway at 8:25. So we still have 5 minutes before the start of the next race. And, well, guess we will. We'll take a quick break. You are watching the 2019 National Senior Games on ProView Sports. Welcome back to Albuquerque, New Mexico. The 2019 National Senior Games. It's happening here at the University of New Mexico Track and Field Complex. I'm Dana Childs. Glad to have you along. Just so you know, I'm in the demo. I could compete, but I don't, and that's why I admire these other people that do. I'm going to be 60, so I could qualify. I was very active at a younger age. Did all the sports in high school, even into college. 2 different sports at 3 colleges, but I quit playing basketball. That was pretty much my deal as my post-competitive years was basketball. But once my eyes started to go, I just had no orientation on the rebound, the angles, where I was and things like that, and couldn't see. So I have not played in probably about 10 years, ever since I needed glasses to be able to play. So again, just letting you know, so that you understand when I say I admire these people, I really do, because I'm in the demo and I'm not this active. And I wonder, perhaps you do as well, I wonder if you could even get a lap. And if you did, if you could run the whole lap, and if you did, what that time might be. So certainly different than what it was. But a lot of these athletes will tell you, I've had a chance to speak with a few in just the short time that we've been here, that it's not so much about winning as much as just competing and being here. So here we go. What you're looking at is the start line for the women's 1500. This is for racers that are 70 to 75 years old. Actually, this is 75 to 79 would be the category, and they are off in the women's 1500 meters. And this is for athletes that are 75 to 79 years old. Senior Games record for this event in this category is 7 minutes 18 seconds. 7 minutes 18 and 52, actually. The USA record is 6:41:88. In this race that you are looking at right now, we have Francois Barnes from New Mexico. Bonnie Clark is from Colorado. Margaret Skrinar from Connecticut. Carol Kuhlman from Missouri, Angela Staub from North Carolina, and Carolyn Robinson from New Mexico. 6 athletes competing in the 1500 meters for women 75 to 79. And we are watching the lead runners as they come around the home stretch, pass by the press box here in front of us. And in the lead is runner number 1. That is Francois Barnes from New Mexico. About 10 yards behind is your second place runner, Margaret Skrinar from Connecticut. So it's Barnes and Skrinar so far with 1 lap complete in this women's 1500 for those 75 to 79. And one thing you look at when you think of somebody that's 75 to 79, I don't know what image comes to your mind, but it's not an image of people doing this, that's for sure. When I think of 75, 79, and not only doing it, but look at the pace. And still lifting the knees, still moving the arms. Doesn't look anything like a 75-year-old woman out there running today. So amazing how these people have held up. And it's not luck that these athletes look this old at this, or look this good at this age. There's a lot of hard work. As you see on the screen behind you there, the shot put area, or as the leaders just cross there. As they make their way across the background, you can see the University of New Mexico. Get a good look at that infield, how beautiful that green grass is. And now you'll be able to see the lead runner as they pass by the pole vault pit right there. Have long jump and triple jump pits behind the runner there. You can see the long shadows, too, of the lights as they go by. And the logo there is a wolf, University of New Mexico Lobos, a Spanish for wolf. There you see an athlete competing in the disc right there. So all of the field events being worked in here while the runners run around the track. So watching our lead runner still on their second lap of the women's 1500 meters, age 75 to 79. There are events. If you go to the Games website, the National Senior Games website, You'll be able to see all of the events, get a detailed list of the competitors and things like that. We have an extensive list just here at the track complex for all of the track and field athletes, but there are events and competition. There's a competition being held all over town. So Albuquerque and New Mexico proud and happy to be involved in hosting the games, and doing the best we can to provide all the services and things that the meet officials need and the event officials as well. But last night the opening ceremonies were very enjoyable. The torch was brought in on the Rail Runner, which is our train, our commuter train, connects Albuquerque and Santa Fe. So they bring the train in, they bring the flame in, the torch on the Rail Runner, and it was almost one of those immortal moments where the flame, I thought they were going to catch the train on fire. I really did. There's an elderly woman holding the flame at the back of the train, and looked like the top of the door was getting a little warm. But anyway, they brought the flame in on the Rail Runner and then handed it off, and they had a relay exchange as the flame made its way to Civic Plaza and the cauldron, which is a very nice-looking cauldron, and lit that up, and we let the games begin. We had an address from the mayor, who, by the way, is, they say, the fittest mayor in Albuquerque. He actually ran for a block or two with the torch last night. Still had his breath by the time he made it to the podium to deliver a speech and address the crowd. Still looking at Francois Barnes from New Mexico. She is in first place. Margaret Skrinar from Connecticut in second. That area that the leader just passed by, that is the steeplechase area with the caution tape around it. Interesting race there. Do not have the steeplechase in the Senior Olympics. And yes, you are looking at the leader, Francois Barnes. She's 77 years old. 77. And still after 3 laps, still, like I say, moving the arms and picking up the knees and putting them down. That's amazing. If you're in this demographic, you know how amazing it is as things start to ache and maybe the endurance goes. Of course, the recuperation time, if you do go out and do something like play basketball or run a few laps, or helps your friends move, carry gear up the stairs, it takes you another day or so to recover, not like you were when you were in your prime and in your youth. Second place runner is number 3. That's Margaret Skrinar, Connecticut. And then in third place is runner number 2, Bonnie Clark from Colorado. About a half lap lead between first and third place. Leader Francois has a big lead. It's well over 100 yards over second place Margaret, and then Bonnie about 20 yards behind that. So they're spread out all over the track at this point. 6 runners in the race, and I think we are on the bell lap. Francois qualified for the Senior Olympics with a time of 7:48:07, and she might get close to that. Let's see, where is she now? She's over there on the far side. She's looking at 7:15 right now. I doubt if this will be a record run for her, but it looks to be a gold medal run for her, that's for sure. And there you go, passing some of the other runners and walkers coming around the home stretch. Always nice to see New Mexico athletes and competitors doing well, making the podium. We will try to remain unbiased, though, but it does, honestly, as you could imagine, makes us feel good when our neighbors do well. But we certainly want to mention the other athletes and competitors, especially those who have traveled such a distance to be here. So there's Francois lapping one of the slower runners, and she approaches the finish line. Looks like it's going to be way off of her qualifying and record time, but it's going to be a gold medal performance. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 minutes and 9 seconds for your gold medalist there, Francois Barnes from New Mexico. Gold medalist in the women's 1500 for runners 76 to 80. I'm sorry, 75 to 90. 75 to 90. And our second place runner just now making her way in front of the press box towards the finish line and finishing second, earning the silver medal, is Margaret Skrinar from Connecticut, 75 years old, just barely into the category. 809 Skrinar is going to she's going to post an 8:48 today. Again, a bit of a slower time for her, but good enough for the silver medal. And coming in third place is runner number 2. That is Bonnie Clark from Colorado. And Bonnie Clark is in at about 9 minutes, not about, exactly, 9 minutes, 17:42. 9:17:42 for Clark for Colorado, good enough to earn her the bronze here at the 2019 National Senior Games. Dana Childs and we are glad to have you along if you're watching, because you just can't believe that anybody 100 years old could even get 1,500 meters on their own power. Well, good for you. It's true. It happened. And other athletes in their senior years are turning in some nice performances. And most of all, having a lot of fun. Started out as kind of a way to recognize seniors, give them something to do and be active, but it has turned out to be a rather serious competition for some. But it is a lot of fun for all. Looks like making her way towards the finish line right now is Carolyn Robinson. She is from New Mexico. We're watching a runner on the back side of the track, but as that runner comes around turn 4 and heads for the stretch, Carolyn Robinson crosses the finish line at 10:29. 10:29:50 for Robinson today. That's the time she turned in. And that's good enough for fourth place. Kuhlman should be our next finisher. Carol Kuhlman from Missouri, 75 years old. From Missouri, maybe Missouri, depends on who you're listening to. I'll call it Missouri, but the guy in the PA, you can hear, maybe he's calling it Missouri. Runner number 4, 75-year-old Carol Kuhlman, finishing the women's 1,500 meters. And Kuhlman's going to turn in. She's going to post, let's see, 11:21:51. 11:21 for Kuhlman, good enough for 5th place today. And also Staub from North Carolina, has also finished, and she turned in a 9:17:42. And I think that is all of our runners. We had 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's all of it. So that race is complete. And that completes the women's 1,500 meters for women 75 to 79. Coming up at 8:45 Mountain Time, which is about 7 or 8 minutes away, another 1,500 meter race, and that'll be for women in the 70-year-old age category. So that'll be 70 to 74. Again, your order of finish here for the women's 1,500 in the 75 to 79 category. It's Barnes, Skrinar, and Clark. Barnes, Skrinar, and Clark. Robinson, Kuhlman, Staub. Your order of finish for that one. We have our guys on the field. We do have Fred down there, and I think he has rounded up our winner from New Mexico, and that is Francois Barnes. And we're going to see if we can get a hold of Fred, who is down on the track, and see what Fred has to say. when he gathers up Francois. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube or on Facebook, whichever platform you're watching these senior games on. We appreciate you watching this morning, and now I think we're going to shot put. Thank you. I'm listening to our director, Josh Brown, tell you we're watching the shot put. We'll get you some competitors in that event here in just a moment. We're just waiting for we're about to go hear from Francois and hear her thoughts and feedback on the race, hear how she's feeling. She looks pretty good. Has to be happy about earning the gold medal today in the senior games. Just making sure that we have our connection secured to Fred, who is down on the track, and we'll do that here in just a moment. And we'll see if Fred can gather up Francois, and we'll get a couple of words. Watching the shot put, which is happening in the southeast corner. The orientation of the track goes like most. It's a north-south track, and right now the sun coming over the mountains, the Sandia Mountains on the east side of town, and making its way up towards the top, where it should be a rather warm day today. We should get should reach a high temperature today somewhere around 90 degrees. We won't get there till about noon, but anyone competing beyond noon today will have to deal with some 90-degree heat. In addition, but the humidity is fairly low compared to most places around the country. And also, the altitude is, or could be, an issue for some of the athletes as well. If you'll go to the National Senior Games website,
Is there a thing that makes it happen?
if there's a, if you go to their website, National Senior Games website, you'll be able to see the high altitude warning and some of the factors. Because we're at high altitude, they tend to dry out or dehydrate. So one of the warnings on that page about altitude is about hydration. And here in Albuquerque, our altitude is 5,280 feet. It's about a mile. So the air is thinner. You're also closer to the sun, and it's a hot day. So hydration is very, very important. On the website for the National Senior Games, it said drink more water than you're used to wherever it is you live, because it's dry, we're at altitude, and the sun is out today. So I think we're going to head down to the track now, and we do have Fred Holberg with our winner. Fred is ready to speak to our winner now, and that is Francois Barnes from New Mexico. Fred? And now, here's Fred.
And we just have another winner, Francois Barnes from Albuquerque. Way to go, Albuquerque, 8:09.86. And you told me that, tell me about your injury you have.
Okay, so this year, actually starting at last year, I've been fighting skin cancer. And actually I had altogether 7 in my lower leg. And so it prevented me from, at times, from training. So I was very, very frustrated. And at some point, I had kind of decided that I wouldn't do it, that I wasn't trained enough. But with the support of my husband, who is my #1 fan, he encouraged me to do it, and I'm so glad that I did.
Cool, cool. Well, the camera's up there, so just look up there and let everybody see it. I'm looking at your husband right now.
Right.
And you ran a 8:09:86. So I know you didn't train, but
Not-
how do you think you did though? I mean, you won. So
Yes, considering what I just said and the state of my mind just recently, just 2 weeks ago, I did very well. I'm very happy. I was certainly slower than last year, but hey, I'm happy. I did it. I did it. Thank you, God.
well, hey, doesn't it make it so much better though when you win? It's kind of, and you know what? This
Yes.
keeps you probably maybe wouldn't have trained as much as you were able to do at the very end too.
That's possible. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so yes, you said winning is nice. Yes, it is nice. I cannot say that it is not.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Francoise. Thanks for.
I'm happy for New Mexico.
Good.
Go New Mexico.
Go New Mexico. Go New Mexico.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fred Holtberg, down on the track, talking with our winner of the women's 1,500 meters. And there you go. There's a New Mexican who is happy for New Mexico and obviously happy that she got the gold. Even though I was a little bit reluctant to chirp about it, she obviously is happy to be the gold medalist. But she also talked about skin cancer. We were just talking about our altitude and proximity to the sun and the dryness here. So there's a real life account of one of the big things we have to watch out for here in New Mexico, in addition to the skin cancer, the dehydration. And they are off. You're looking at the start of the women's 1,500 meters for competitors 64 to 70. 64 to 70. Get you a list of competitors here as we are into our third track event of the morning, and they are running right on time. Women's 1,500 meters. Getting the distance races finished this morning. And we'll get into some of the sprints. We have 50s and 400s today as well. So we'll cover the 1,500s, move into the 50 meters, get some sprints, and then once around the track for the 400 meters. We are now watching the 1,500 meters for women in the 70-year-old category. And apologize, I'm trying to speak to you, and with the other half of my brain, we'll look up the event list so we can get you some competitors in this race. For women in the 1,500 meter run, aged 70 to 74, the national senior games record is 6 minutes 38.66. 6 minutes 38.66. USA record is 6:18.18. Competing in this particular race, we have Colleen Burns from New Mexico, racer number 1. Number 2 is Nancy Rollins from Illinois. Number 3 is Danuta Kulbelik from Florida. Number 4, Nancy Berger from Maryland. Terry Foodie from Kentucky is runner number 5. Mary Harris is from Pennsylvania. She's number 6. And number 7 is Lana Butler from Tennessee. And number 8, Barbara Warren from West Virginia. 8 competitors in this 1,500 meter race for women 70 to 74. And we are looking at our leader. 2:43 the running time so far. Couple laps as she passes one of the slower runners. We'll pick up on her number as she comes back around. if that lead runner is, yes, it is. If that lead runner is Colleen Burns, she's does have the fastest qualifying time at 6:19, although not by much, because the second fastest qualifier is Nancy Rollins from Illinois with a 6:20. So it's actually less than a tenth of a second that separates those two runners. And then about a minute later, we have the third runner, Danuta Kubelik. Danuta from Florida. And our leader just passing the north side of the track. And that is indeed runner number one, Colleen Burns from New Mexico. Still looking strong. At 70 plus, lapping people in the 1,500 meter run. They are now, as you might have just heard, Colleen is on pace for a national record in the 1,500. She's posted a 4:31 right now. As we mentioned, our national record, National Senior Games record is 6:38, and the USA record for this age category in women is 6:18.18. So she's got about a minute and a half, 90 seconds to go to complete this lap if she wants to be in the neighborhood of some sort of a record, but we'll see. Wind today, at least at this time of the day, is nominal. The flags are barely moving. .5:12 is the running time. Colleen on the backside of the track, but still looking very well. Her form and her pace and her stride looks as it did in the early laps. Could be looking at a national record here from New Mexico's Colleen Burns. This would be a national record in the women's 1,500 meters for runners 70 to 74 years old. Looking at a 5:42 right now. Her target, 6:18. 100 yards to go. 5:57. She's got about 20 seconds to finish this 100 laps. Her stride looks good. She's hearing the PA. It looks like she's reaching for it at the end. She's still got some kick. About 25, 30 yards to go. 6:10, 6:11. The record is 6:18, and she is going to break that right there at about 6:15 or 6:16. Official time, that's a new national record for Colleen Burns from New Mexico. 6:15.99 in the women's 1,500 meter run. Wow, congratulations for women 70 to 74. Nice job for Colleen. I'm sure Fred will be tracking her down, one of our neighbors, and one of the athletes we're certainly proud of here. Well, we're off to a great start for this broadcast of the 2019 National Senior Games, with a record being set right there in the women's 1,500 meters. And with a time of 6:15, that is a USA record, and that is also a National Senior Games record. Old records were, the old National Senior Games record was 6:38. The new record, 6:15. Wow. And the USA record was 6:18. It is now 6:15. So she shaved about 3 seconds off of that time. Rollins finishing the 1,500 meters in second place with a time of 7:09.45. And Kubelik from Florida finished at 7:22.20. So Burns, Rollins, and Kubelik, your 1, 2, 3 gold, silver, bronze finish in this women's 1,500 meter run. Well, I'm kind of anxious to hear what Colleen had to say, or hear what Colleen has to say after a record-setting run this morning. Yeah, she could join the Army. It's not even 9 o'clock. She gets more done before 9 than most people. Well, the Army gets more done before 9 than most people. Not even 9 o'clock in the Mountain Time Zone, and she's already owner of a national record. And the way things are going, She may have that record for a while, as she bested both the National Senior Games record and the USA record for women in that age category. We have high jump going on as well. Full slate of field events going on. We have high jump, we have shot put, we have disc. Looks like there are people along. Yeah, it looks like they're taking care of the long jump pit as well. So we have that going on. So full slate of track and field action happening here at the 2019 National Senior Games. These are national champions in their age category and their sport. A lot of these runners, too, have competed or qualified in more than one event, especially in the distances. They'll go 15 and they'll go all of those longer distances. Still waiting for some of the other runners to finish. There were 8 competitors in this heat of the women's 1,500 meter for women 70 to 74. And although they may not make the podium, they're still running, maybe working for a personal best or just doing it because they can. In 4th place, officially now, it's posted, Harris. So it's Harris from Pennsylvania, posted a 9:20.65. 1, 2, and 3 order of finish, Burns, Rollins, and Kubelik. And just one runner remaining on the track. She has about 40 yards to go. Let's see if we can get 1, 2, 3 is Burns, Rollins, Kubik. Harris, Berger, and Foodie. Harris from Pennsylvania, Berger from Maryland. We're 4, 5, and 6. That's Harris, Berger, and Foodie from 4, 5, and 6. Foodie from Kentucky. 7th is Butler from Tennessee, and Warren from West Virginia will finish 8th in this particular race. So all of the runners have completed the race. Many of them well behind our winner, gold medalist and record setter from New Mexico, Colleen Burns. I imagine that is a personal best for her as well, obviously. She looks good. She's getting hydrated. We mentioned that's one of the most important things to do here today, even for spectators. Even anybody living in Albuquerque, anybody living in New Mexico should have water and be worried about dehydration. Let's go down to the track and hear what Fred has to say. Listen to the conversation with Fred and Colleen about her record-setting gold medal performance here at the 2019 National Senior Games. Fred, what's happening?
Okay, here we go. Hey, another winner from Albuquerque. Boy, are we fixing this or what? I mean, I'll tell you what, how much better can it be? Colleen Burns from Albuquerque, New Mexico in the 70 women's, and let me tell you what she did. I was just saying that you usually break records by a second or two. She broke the national record by 23 seconds. She ran a 6:15. The national record was 6:38. What do you think about that?
I think it's awesome. I just ran my own race, and and that was frosting on the cake. It's awesome. Thank you.
Well, and you're supposed to go swimming right now and do swimming, and I'm holding you here, and I don't know if you're going to be able to do it, but what a great job you did, and to set a national record. And look up at the camera up there. And
thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, and thanks Albuquerque for all the support and all my family and everyone that has supported me through my years of running. Thank you so much.
Great. All right. Now back up to Dana.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Fred, and thank you, Colleen. You could hear in her voice, she sounds like a 15-year-old. And as Fred was going down the list of accomplishments and how she had broken the record by 20 or 30 seconds, she's giggling and laughing. So Colleen from New Mexico, Colleen Burns, is having a great day. We've had a couple of exciting races today, already one record, and that was only our 3rd race of the day. You did hear Fred mention that Colleen now has to go find the swimming pool to compete in some swimming events as well. As I mentioned, a lot of these athletes have qualified in other track and field events, and some athletes have competed or qualified to compete in other sports. So taking a look at the shot put now, let's see if we can get you a list of some of the competitors in that event. And should be easy to do because we have this app, which you at home, the viewer, can also get, and that is finishedresults.com. And that'll give you everything you need to know about the events that are happening here today. What you're seeing there, well, I thought it was the shot put. That is the women's shot put. Women's shot put for ages 60 to 64. It is the finals, so they're going for the gold. And what you're looking at there, the women's shot put in women 60 to 64, the national record, the National Senior Games record, 11.81 meters. The USA record, 12.58 meters, so a good 1 meter difference between those two records. Competitors in the women's 60 shot put, there are 2 flights, about 35 or 40 competitors. So we're watching flight 1, which includes Lynn Dutton. Lynn Dutton. Sorry, Lynn, from California. Her best is a 9.89, and she qualified first. Almost a good 2 meters farther than our second place qualifier, which is Brenda Ferlisi from Wyoming. She tossed at 7.95 meters. Also, we have Kay Jornby from South Dakota, Caroline Kearns from New Mexico, Beverly DeLong from New York, Catherine Keg Good from Virginia, Donna Zukas from Pennsylvania, Tamara Lewis, Arizona, Andrea Yaden from Kentucky, Marla Gromberg, Illinois. Those are your top 10 competitors based on distance. But also throwing today, we have Cheryl Collins from Tennessee, Terry Wolf from Ohio, Daisy Weatherspoon, heaving the shot today, her best 5.96 meters. Sharon Reiner from Michigan. Jane Smith from Alabama. Maggie McCullum is from Georgia. Susan Brandner from Arkansas. And we also have 4 that did qualify but aren't here, and that's Rhonda Ratliff from Tennessee, Yoko Oshigashi from California, Lori Howler from Florida, and Darcy Smith. Those are your 17-plus competitors in the women's shot, which is what you're looking at right now. That's women's shot 60 to 64. Now we've switched over to the runners in this next heat of the women's 1,500 meters. And this is for women in the 65-year-old age category. Women's 1,500 meters for women 65 in that age category. And let's see if we can find out who these competitors are. Again, very useful app. The Finished Results app has all of the competitors, their qualifying times. Let's see, we're looking for a Sunday track event. All of the events are there, track and field. For women 65 to 69, we have 18 competitors. Now you're watching the leader, watching the top 2 runners, and they are numbered by qualifying time. So number 1 in this race is Priscilla Flesch-Burtick, 68 years old, from Montana. Miriam Paulus is from Ohio. Trinice Mullis-Dubau from Georgia. Deborah Ellis, Ohio. Elizabeth Foster, Minnesota. Liz Chichi Ewing from California. Carla Carpenter, Nevada. Rebecca Goldstein from Connecticut. And Michelle Nero, all the way from New York. Janie Jurkovic from California. Ellen Jaffe-Jones from Florida. Number 12 is Victoria Salvador from Michigan. Catherine Jacobs from North Carolina. Roberta Strickland from Colorado. Sheila Morris from Maryland. Roseanne Ullman, Illinois. Karen Crahan from Florida, or Karen Cron. And finally, number 18, Vicki McCombs, 65 years old, from Texas. Those are your 18 competitors in this heat of the women's 1,500 meters for women that are 65 to 69 years old. Watching your leader just pass the start-finish line at about 2:55. Starting to open up some distance now between the second place runner. And if that is the leader by qualifying time, then that would be Priscilla Flesch-Bertic, 68 years old from Montana. Her qualifying time, 6:02, is about 20 seconds, more than 20 seconds faster than the second place qualifier, Miriam Paulus from Ohio. So as you watch the leader make her way around to the track, look at that, she's still moving along at a pretty good clip. Nice stride, too. As she comes around turn 4, and we'll come by the press box here, we'll make sure that that is indeed Priscilla. As Priscilla laps a couple of the other slower walkers. Some are running, some are walking. But Priscilla definitely running and way out ahead of the pack. And that is number 1, Priscilla Flesch-Bertic from Montana.
Always wear number 1 and go to the front. Priscilla from Montana came in with a seat mark of 6:02. Got that perfect running form going on.
6:02. She is actually close to the National Senior Games record for this event in this category. The National Senior Games record is 5:58, and Priscilla's qualifying time 6:02. So she's just 4 seconds off the record, and she is moving along at a very nice clip. So she's on her final lap. So we'll keep the camera on her, as our cameraman Jude is doing. Keep an eye on that leader, Priscilla. We might be looking at another record here. This would be 2 records in 2 consecutive events. But Priscilla really moving along the backstretch now. Running time is 5:09, 5:10. If she wants to make a lasting impression, get into the record book, she's going to have to break 6 minutes. And she could, because her qualifying time is 6:02. And wow, she is moving along, considering this is her 4th lap. 5:30. She has 30 seconds to run this last 200 yards. I don't know if that's going to happen, but she's still going to turn in a great time. She's obviously going to be the gold medalist in the women's 1,500 meters.
All right, friends, one more time if you will. This will be the winner.
5:50, so she's got 10 seconds to cover 100 yards. I don't think that's going to happen. But look at her finish, strong with that stride. That is your leader and gold medalist Priscilla Flesch-Bertic from Montana, 68 years old. And look at that clip. After running 1,495 yards, she's still moving along. 6:13 her finishing time, so a little optimistic thinking that she could get into record territory, but still a gold medal performance for Priscilla. Congratulations to her. And we're looking for our second place competitor, as Priscilla had a gigantic lead over the other runners. I'm thinking number 2. Here she comes now, Miriam Paulus, just now crossing the finish line. Is going to be second at about 6:45. Ellis will finish 3rd, still on the track. We'll let you know when her time is posted. But so far, it's first place Flesch-Bertic with a 6:12. Paulus with a 6:45. Flesch-Bertic from Montana. Paulus, your silver medalist from Ohio. And right behind her is her teammate from Ohio, Deborah Ellis. And I think that's Ellis crossing the finish line there for 3rd place at 7:21.67, the final time there for Ellis, your 3rd place finisher. So congratulations to your gold medalist, Priscilla Flesch-Bertic, Miriam Paulus, the silver, and Deborah Ellis gets the bronze in this go-around of the 2019 National Senior Games in the women's 1,500 meters for women 65 to 69 years old. 65 to 69. Still have a couple of runners / walkers on the track. We had 18 competitors in this race, so it'll be a few moments while the remainder of the competitors finish up their 1,500 meters. Also want to remind you, if you want to keep track of the track and field results, you can do that at home on your device or your tablet. And if you would look for the app called Finished Results, plural on the results, Finished Results. It's a free app. It'll give you all of the competitors, the records, their positioning, their finish times. It's the same app that we are using here for this broadcast, so why don't you get it as well and you can follow along. In fact, I encourage you to do that because they're publishing more information on this app than we could possibly ever get through, even in the 7 or 8 hours that we will be on today. So if you're looking for something specific about track and field here at the 2019 National Senior Games, it'll probably be on that app. That's Finished Results. It's free, and all the info is there. Finishing 9th is Carpenter. Jones is 10th. Strickland 11. Moore is 12. And Salvador is 13. So it's Flesh Burtick, number 1. Paulus 2. Jones 3. I'm sorry, Ellis 3. And we still have, looks like about 3 or 4 competitors still on the track, finishing up their walk run. Dana Childs, your announcer here in Albuquerque at the National Senior Games. We're at the University of New Mexico Track Complex. And we're glad to have you along, no matter where in the country or the world, for that matter, you are watching. We hope you're enjoying the broadcast of the 2019 National Senior Games. Albuquerque, New Mexico is the place. We're certainly proud as a community and as a state to host the games and showcase our beautiful city, which is really coming along. It's really a fine, competitive southwestern city. Personally, as a resident who loves New Mexico, I'm always a bit reluctant to talk about how great New Mexico is, because one of the great things about living here is that the population is relatively low. If you look at the states that surround us, Arizona, Colorado, and Texas, each of those states have cities with well over 1 million people. Texas has more than one city with over 1 million people, so there are gigantic metropolitan centers in the states that surround New Mexico, but here, everybody kept going, I guess. So, but more and more people are discovering New Mexico, and this broadcast and hosting the National Senior Games will certainly put us in a favorable light, we hope, and maybe more people will show up, and I don't know if that kind of growth is good or bad. But you're certainly welcome if you want to come here. Please check it out, because it is on the move, and they finally realized that they want to be a competitive city in the Southwest. There's things they have to do, amenities to provide, and things going on, and they are, and we are. And so it's a much different place than it was in the 70s or 80s. And as we enter this new century, New Mexico, one of the oldest places in the country. People have been living here for 10,000 years, but we're the 47th state into the Union, Arizona and New Mexico, the last of the contiguous states to be admitted to the Union. So almost last into the Union, but one of the oldest places. Fred is trying to track down our winner of that race, and I think he's got her. She is ready to go. Let's see if Fred can get his microphone working so that we can hear what they have to say, and we'll hear what Fred has to say with our medal, with our winner and gold medalist from that women's 1,500-meter race. Hey, Fred. Let's head down to the track. Fred does have our winner and gold medalist.
Okay, we're here at the Senior National Games, and we have another winner. This time it's not from Albuquerque. Did you know? I don't even know if you knew the last two are from Albuquerque, but you're from Montana, and it's Priscilla Flesh-Burdick.
Right.
Okay.
Sore, but I felt like I started out, a good pace and didn't go too fast, because when your quads get sore, you have to slow down. And I think I kept more of an even pace. So I felt good about that. And always my lungs are good, because I always feel I can go a little faster, but it's my legs that give out.
Well, everybody complains here about the high altitude, but Montana, you shouldn't have a problem in Montana, right?
No, Bozeman is about 4,500 feet.
Okay.
And we live about 10 miles west of Bozeman, so that's no problem having elevation gain here.
Good. Hey, well, the camera's right up there. Why don't you let everybody know just how you feel about this win, how important this was?
Well, it was one of my goals. One goal, of course, was maybe breaking the record, but I knew I probably couldn't do that. And I was kind of trying to get under 6 minutes, but it's great. And the gold medal is absolutely perfect. It's wonderful. It's awesome. Getting a gold medal, a goal.
Well, maybe what you needed somebody to push you a little more, because you beat everybody pretty bad. So but anyway, congratulations and
I'll say one more thing.
Okay.
Another thing, and then I've never been coached, and so anyway, maybe I'll be back. I don't know. This is my first national games.
Hey, well, that's really cool. She's never been coached, her first national games, and she wins. So back up to Dana, and we'll be back in just a little bit.
Well, thank you, Fred. Nice conversation with your gold medalist in the 1,500 meters. That's Priscilla Flesh-Burdick, and that is for women 65 to 69. Fred touched on a couple of the things that we'd mentioned earlier that athletes are dealing with, and that is the altitude, which makes the air a little bit more rare. The sun is out today because of the altitude. We're close to the sun, so that'll dehydrate you, make you warm. And also the temperature getting up should reach 90 today, right around noon. So the runners in the early distance events have a bit of an advantage there. At least they get to compete in the cooler weather. But by the time we reach the sprinting events, which should start at noon with the 50 meters, the temperature should be pushing 90. So, and we'll have the 50-meter dash for you. That'll take up a good portion of the afternoon. And then we'll move on to the 400 meters. And that should last until about 6 o'clock today. And that'll complete our broadcast day for day one. We'll be here every day. Every day there's track and field, so that's here through Thursday. And describing the action, hopefully talking to the winners, and giving you a good look at Albuquerque. Going to start another 1,500. This will be for women 60 to 64. 60 to 64. 60 to 64. Get you a list of competitors in this race as they are on the stagger on the backside there. Normally this would be a 1,600 meter, 1 mile run. But for the seniors, it's 1,500. So they start them on that other corner as opposed to the normal start-finish line. Start line is over on that first curve. So the runners are underway in the 1,500 meters. If you'd like to know who is running in this race, get the app, Finished Results. It's free, and it will give you all of the competitors. It'll show you the record for this event in their age category. It'll also give you the qualifying times for the athletes as well. Here they come on lap number 1, and your leader is number 5. That is Miriam Seward. Miriam Seward from New Mexico. So New Mexico dominating the distance events so far, trailed by, I couldn't get that number. But the finished results, guys, they'll have it posted, the order of running here in just a few moments. And you can get the same thing on your app as well. Competitors in this heat of the women's 1,500 meters for women 60 to 64 years old. The national senior games record is 5:44.93. USA record 5:12. About 30 seconds difference between the senior games record and the national record. Competitors by, this is in order of qualifying time. Number 1 is Susan Rollins from Tennessee, qualified with a 5:41.60. Number 2, Suzanne Cordes from California. Eugene Camden is from Alabama. Betsy Miller, Oregon. Miriam Seward, New Mexico. Jane Landford is from Arkansas. Donna Scanlon, Pennsylvania. Alice Slemp, Oklahoma. Renee Rovtar, that's Renee Rovtar, is from New Jersey. Cindy Gibson from next door in Texas. Terry Wolf from Ohio. Bernie Clayton from North Carolina. Michaela Weiss is from New York. And finally, your 14th runner, Cheryl Clayton from Nebraska. Cheryl, the 14th runner, qualified with a 10:10. Your lead runner, 5:41. So almost doubling the time. Big shout out again. I really can't say enough about the finished results, dudes, but they just handed me another screen. I've been trying to gather up all these results and events and competitors and things going on using my phone, which is amazing considering the fact that if you're in the demographic enjoying this game, the fact that we can do the things we can do on our phone is just unbelievable. It was all like Maxwell Smart, futuristic science fiction. But here we are. We're living it today and in full color. We're getting you the picture and describing the events, and now instant information on this screen that our friends at Finished Results just provided us. So and what you're showing me on this screen, I'm talking to the senior results guys. What I'm seeing on this screen is the order of running right now, or just the order of competitors. That is their order. Okay. Thanks. Sorry, a little behind the scenes look there with verifying some info from our buddies at Finished Results. And they do have, this is the actual running order. There it is right there. Miriam Seward is in the lead. Susan Rollins, Suzanne Cordes, Eugene Camden, and Betsy Miller make up your top 5 competitors. But again, New Mexico out in front of this race. We've placed well in the distance categories. Record for this event in this age category is 5:44. That's the senior games record. The national record, 5:12. We're looking at 4:32 right now, and our leader, our leader, Susan Rollins from Tennessee, has now taken the lead. So Susan Rollins in first place, Suzanne Cordes second, Eugene Camden is third, Miriam Seward 4, and Betsy Miller 5. Looks like a very close race on the backside between our top 2 runners. They are going to push each other. Again, this is where it gets exciting. Who's got the kick or who's got gas remaining? Susan Rollins from Tennessee and Suzanne Cordes from California. And as they lap runners, it's anybody's race. Again, we'll see who's got the kick, who's got the gas. But here they come, ladies and gentlemen, for the final kick. It is Suzanne Rollins in first place, pressed by Suzanne Cordes from California. There goes Cordes, passing on the back stretch on the final straight. So now your leader is Cordes from California. Susan Rollins from Tennessee looks like she's going to be second. And they're going to finish at about 5:46, which is very close to the National Senior Games record of 5:44. So nice run today for your gold medalist, Cordes from California, who posted a 5:46.77. Rollins in second, Camden in third. Rollins hit a 5:47 today, and Camden at 5:57. So 1, 2, and 3 is Cordes, Rollins, and Camden. Cordes, Rollins, and Camden. Your 1, 2, and 3 for the women.
National record 5:44.93.
60 to 64 years old. So 60 is the beginning age. All right. Everybody has their own way of posting things, so let's see. There comes a runner with a strong kick after 4 laps around the track. That again, 1, 2, and 3, your gold, silver, and bronze medalists have finished. Here's Lanford finishing. Your bronze, your gold, silver, bronze. Cordes, Rollins, and Camden in this heat of the 1500 for women, 60 to 64 years old. It's the 5th heat of the 1500 so far today. We got underway at 8 o'clock. And we still have 10 heats remaining of the 1500 meters. Going all the way down to, we'll finish up the women's 1500 meters, and then we switch over to men where we'll start at the oldest and work our way back to the youngest, which would be 50 to 54. Runners finishing now in this heat of the 1500. In 4th place, Betsy Miller. 5th place, Miriam Seward with a 6:23.71. In 6th place today will be Jane Lanford from Arkansas with a 7:03.39. Renee Rovitar from New Jersey finished 7th. Her time today, 7:19.25. In 8th place from Pennsylvania is Donna Scanlon, posted a 7:48.20. Cindy Gibson has finished. She finished in 9th place from Texas, and she has an 8:01.22 today. So congratulations to those top 9 runners. Still 4 runners on the track, and we'll let them make their way around and announce that as they cross. But we'll also start looking around for our buddy Fred, who does have the winner, I see. He's going to get over to the interview circle, the winner's circle, where Fred does his interviews. And we'll hear all about that run from Susan Cordes, the gold medalist today, with a 5:46 in the women's 1500 meters for women 60 to 64 years old. 10th place has crossed the line. That's Bernie Clayton from North Carolina with an 8:42.44 today. Just a couple of runners remaining on the track. Let's see, our last runner. Looks like our final competitor for this race is at the north end, coming around turn number 4. So she'll be coming down the back stretch. And all of the competitors from this heat will have crossed. But in the meantime, we have the winner. Fred's got the winner. What do you have, Fred?
2, 1. Hey, we're back. We're back to the Senior National Track and Field, and Suzanne Cordes from California just won the 1500 60-year-old division. And what a time you had. You had a 5:46.77, and we're not really positive, but you missed it just by a couple seconds. And I know you wanted to break the record. Everybody wants to break the record.
I didn't know the record.
Yeah. So
I didn't even think to look at the record before
yeah, I'm
the
sorry.
race.
Yeah. So anyway, how do you feel about this? I mean, what's this mean to you?
Oh, this is awesome because I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to run today because my hip has been bothering me for a long time. But I just took a long break before today to rest, which made me nervous. So I really didn't know how it was going to go. I thought maybe it'll go well, maybe this is going to hurt and I might have to drop out in the middle, which I've never done. And then I got going and I thought, oh, I'm not thinking about the hip, I'm thinking about my pace. I'm going to stay right on the leader, whoever that is, and I'm going to wait until, as you saw, the last 100 meters and then give it all I got. So I was
Well,
holding back a little bit in the early stages.
yeah, all I heard was Tennessee against California.
Oh,
And
I
then,
didn't hear
I don't know
that.
if you heard that.
I
You're probably
didn't.
so involved with the race,
Yeah.
but it was kind of funny how you could hear that the people Tennessee, California, and it was pretty cool. So anyway, now do you have any more races?
I do. I have 2 more, the
Okay.
5K and 10K road races.
How many days is that away?
The 5K, I think, is on Thursday. The 10K is on Sunday.
So
I've got a little break.
So you have a break for with your hip problem.
Yeah. I'm
good.
qualified for the 400 today, but I can't. I
Oh.
know I can't hinge at my hip to do that.
Sure.
I qualified for the 800, and I won't be able to do that. It's just the faster you go, the more hip hinge. So I'm going to let those go and just focus on the 5K and 10K.
Okay. Well, hey, Suzanne, thanks for coming to Albuquerque, too, for the Nationals and competing here. And I know you're real proud of yourself, I'm sure. And look at the camera real quickly. And one more last word to the camera, to the people watching us.
Go Albuquerque! Thank you for hosting us.
Okay, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Fred. Nice interview with another lively, happy gold medalist. That is your winner of the women's 1500 for women 60 to 64. And also describing some of the things that these athletes are dealing with. We already described the atmosphere with the altitude, the sun, the thin air, and things like that. But she's talking about her hip. That's one of the biggest concerns with people in the senior games. And there it was again. And in fact, that's going to prohibit her from running in the 400, which she qualified for earlier today. You are watching the 2019 National Senior Games presented by Humana right here on ProView Sports. And also like to thank some of our other sponsors making the games here in New Mexico possible, including 5-Star Senior Living, the Hyatt Regency of Albuquerque. One Albuquerque, that's a movement to get us all together and thinking on the same page and growing together. Also, the 2019 National Senior Games presented by Growing Boulder, the state of New Mexico, Zibrio, Humana, they are the title sponsor, Life Plan Communities, the New Mexico Senior Olympics, and we have qualified quite a large number of competitors for the National Games out of our New Mexico Senior Olympics. And by the way, the gentleman doing the interviews who you just heard from, Fred, is the director of the New Mexico Senior Olympics, so he's right at home speaking with these athletes, especially many of the New Mexico athletes. The games today also brought to you citywide and statewide by Presbyterian Hospitals, University of New Mexico Health Services, and Visit Albuquerque, which we hope you can do and put that on your list. It's a beautiful place, and we'd love to entertain you for a while. Very proud of our history, our culture, and the things that we've added to it. It's a very nice place. We hope it looks good on the camera. We are now watching the next event, which is the women's 1,500 meters for women 55 to 59. Women 55 to 59. And our competitors in this women 55, 1,500 meter run, Brenda Estelak from North Carolina, Alicia Antoinette from New Jersey, Cindy Blakely Cameron from Kansas, Joni Shabelsky from Virginia, Anita Pauline Romero is from New Mexico, California has Jennifer Baker and Zaitan Abu Bakar, New Mexico has Beth O'Neill, Lauren Siegel is in this race, she's from Pennsylvania, Jody Keach from Florida, Annette Green from Tennessee, and did not start but qualified was Lorraine Jasper and Sandra Vance. So your leader right now is Brenda Estelak from North Carolina. Her first split was 107.16. Alicia Antoinette from New Jersey in second place. And we are watching our runner zoom right by us here in the press box, and that is Brenda Estelak, about to post her next split. Her first one was 107.16, and this next one's going to look like about 2:40 for her total running time. runners not so spread out as they have been in some of the other age categories, but still a nice healthy lead of about 20 yards for Brenda Eslak from North Carolina. Her split 2:42. So the second lap a lot slower than that first lap. Still 2 to go. Looks like things are tightening up between second and third place. That's a race between Alicia Antoinette from New Jersey and Cindy Blakely Cameron from Kansas for second and third. There. So a very exciting finish in the last race. And I guess as we get younger, as you know, we start with the oldest categories with the 80s, 90s, and 100-year-old athletes. But as we get down into the 60s and the 50s, they start to run a little bit closer together. At least that's what we've seen so far in the first 5 or 6 events that we've watched this morning. And here comes your leader by the press box, and that is Brenda Eslak from North Carolina. Last lap was 1:35. She's at about 4:18 right now. Still looks like it's her race, Brenda Eslak. But now with a little bit of a kick, Alicia Antoinette in second place. Not really gaining on first place, but certainly separating herself from third place, Cindy Blakely Cameron. That's Alicia Antoinette in second place, making a little bit of a move there. And it definitely looks like Antoinette is putting a little pressure on Eslak as they come down the back stretch. She shortened that gap to about 15, 20 yards, but I don't think she's going to be able to get it done, as it looks like Brenda Eslak has enough of a kick left to maintain and hold her lead. So it's going to be Brenda Eslak from North Carolina, your gold medalist in this women's 1,500 meters heat. That's Alicia Antoinette from New Jersey in second. Right there is Cindy Blakely Cameron from Kansas in third place. Your winning gold medal time for the women 1,500 meter run in the 55-year-old category was 5:51.63. That's 5:51.63 for Brenda Eslak. Alicia Antoinette in second place with a 5:53.40. And your bronze medalist today, Cindy Blakely Cameron from Kansas with a 5:58. So 1, 2, and 3 all in under the 6-minute mark. And the remainder of our competitors still finishing out the race and still doing it with pride and doing it with a little bit of a kick themselves. Looks like fourth will be Joni Shabelski. Fourth place, Joni Shabelski with a 6:34.26. Fifth is going to be Beth O'Neill from New Mexico with a 6:35.51. And Romero, that's Anita Pauline Romero, also from New Mexico. She finished with a 6:54. So our two New Mexico runners finishing fifth and sixth, both in just under 7 minutes. Finishing next should be Jennifer Baker from California. And look at this kick. Way to finish strongly at the end there. Not going to get on the podium with that kick and that effort, but sleep well knowing that they did well and finished strongly. Let's see, in seventh place, we gave you Jennifer Baker with a 7:32. Zaitan Abu Bakar finished in eighth place with a 7:32. Lauren Siegel, She's in with a 7:33.15 today. Lauren finishing 9th from Pennsylvania. Now we're still waiting on Jody Keach, Annette Green, and Sandra Vance. Annette Green and Sandra Vance, both from Tennessee. And it looks like they're doing more of the run-walk as they are on the back side of the track. So it'll be a few minutes while they finish. But it looks like Jody Keach will be our next finisher. Jody from Florida. And that is Jody, as you're looking at on your screen right now from Florida. She's going to get 10th in this heat with a 8:39.98. 8:39.98. So congratulations to Jody and all of the other top 10 finishers here in the women's 1,500-meter run for women 51 to 55. Actually, it's 55 to 59. I apologize. 55 to 59. When they list the age category as, for example, this race, women 55, that is the low end. So women 55 and older. And they break it up by every 5-year increments. So the next will be the women's 50. For women 50 years old. And then we're going to get into the men's 1,500 meters. The men's 1,500 meters will begin at about 9:55, a little before 10 o'clock. And that is mountain time. If you're watching from somewhere else other than New Mexico, mountain time is 2 hours less than East Coast. Mountain time is one different from Pacific. So what is the time of day? 9:39 here in New Mexico. So it's 8:39 in California and 11:39 in New York. The mountain time zone is just often overlooked. Whenever they show a program on TV, it's always, 8 Central or 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Pacific. But we never hear anything about mountain time. That's okay. We like being lost in the mountains. And there is Annette Green finishing her race today. Annette from Tennessee. And also, it's a run-walk. The runners obviously going to finish with a stronger time and get the medals, but the walkers still can enjoy the spirit of the competition. And that is Sandra Vance from Tennessee crossing the finish line, and she's going to post, let's see, a 10-something. And that'll be all of our runners who have completed the race today. So congratulations, our gold medalist in this event, Brenda Estelac from North Carolina with a 5:51. Second place, silver medalist Alicia Antoinette from New Jersey with a 5:53. And in third place, the bronze today, Cindy Blakely Cameron from Kansas with a 5:58. And I think our buddy Fred, as I mentioned, he runs the New Mexico State Games. Fred is down on the track, and he's going to have a couple of minutes with our winner. That is Brenda Estelac. And as soon as he gathers her up and Brenda has her water and is ready to go, we will hear from Brenda in just a moment. And she's got her breath, she has her water, and looks like Fred has gathered up our gold medalist from that last race, the women's 1,500 meters. And it's going to be Brenda Estelac from North Carolina.
Okay, here we go. We're at the Senior Nationals, and we have another winner, Brenda Estelac from North Carolina. So now we have 2 Albuquerque winners and 3 from out of the state. So you just put out of the state ahead of Albuquerque.
I'm so excited. I came here to put North Carolina on the map, and I'm so excited to do that.
Well, cool.
It was a great run, and I'm very happy it's over.
Cool. Hey, so how about the altitude? Did that bother you at all?
I felt it when I was training a little bit, and before the race I was pale, so I was a little nervous, but I think running, I think your adrenaline, that I don't think it really affected me too much, to be honest.
So how many days ago did you actually get here in Albuquerque?
Thursday. I came in on Thursday.
And was that the reason because of the altitude?
Definitely, that was the reason.
Okay. Hey, well, look up at the camera real quick and give us your last word of how happy you really are from North Carolina.
I am so excited. Wilmington, North Carolina. Woohoo!
Okay. Okay, now back to Dana.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Fred. Nice conversation with Brenda. You know, all these gold medalists that he's spoken with so far this morning, just all so excited. And if you were talking to them on the phone, you'd think they're like 16 years old. They certainly are young and healthy and having a lot of fun. You are watching the 2019 National Senior Games brought to you by Humana, and you're watching that on ProView Sports. Welcome back to Albuquerque, New Mexico in the 2019 National Senior Games. Watching another heat of the women's 1,500-meter run. This is for women 50 to 54. And there are 8 competitors in the women's 1,500. Lisa Valle from New Mexico. Wendell Slatterwaite from Kentucky. Laura Rain Tree is from North Carolina. Rita Vigil from New Mexico. Devonna Reiner from Wyoming. Demetria Vasquez from New Mexico. Verna Tippe from Texas. And Susan Starks from Pennsylvania. 3 New Mexico runners in this heat. We mentioned earlier, New Mexico has a long and rich history with distance runners, whether it's cross country or the 2-mile, or some of these longer races. And actually world-class athletes that run distances do come here and train because of the altitude. And if you saw the last interview with Fred, that was a very good question. Did you hear to notice how he got into the issue of altitude and how it's affecting the runners? And the gold medalist said, hey, I got here on Thursday because it takes a couple of days to adapt to the altitude. So it's a bit of a home court advantage for some of our college teams when their competitors don't get here until a day or less than 48 hours, 24 hours before the event. And don't really have time to adapt. But your body will adapt. Many of the experienced and more knowledgeable runners who are aware of that and have experienced it planned on getting here early, as you heard in that last race. Lisa Valle, Wendell Satterwaite, and Rita Vigil. There's your running order, 1, 2, and 3 in this heat of the women's 1,500-meter run. Lisa Valle from New Mexico, Wendell Satterwaite from Kentucky, and Rita Vigil from New Mexico. Looks like about a 5-yard lead. Looks like about a 5-yard lead for Lisa Valle from New Mexico over Wendell Satterwaite from Kentucky. And those two starting to pull away from the rest of the field, and then we have Rita Vigil in 3rd place. And then the rest of the field is Rain Tree, Reiner, Vasquez, Tippe, and Starks. Valle, your leader, Her split after 2 laps was 2:37.98. You can see as they pass by that corner of the track that we do have some discus competitors going on, the discus cage, the man in the red shirt there. And all of the other track and field events on the far side of the track, or a lot of them, including the pole vault and the jumping events. The high jump is happening at the north end of the field. And the shot put is happening at the southeast corner. And here comes your leader. That is Lisa Valle from New Mexico. And she is on the bell lap. She's posted a 4:07 there with 1 lap to go. Valle now extending her lead over second place Wendell Satterwhite. Valle a good 30, 40 yards ahead now. And then about 80 yards ahead of third place, that is Wendell Satterwhite, and in third place is Rita Vigil. So right now the podium looks like Valle, Satterwhite, and Vigil. Dana Childs, thank you for watching the 2019 National Senior Games this morning on ProView Sports. We appreciate you watching. And we hope, if you're watching because your friend or neighbor has qualified and is racing today, we hope you're enjoying the race. We hope that the person you're watching is doing very well. We are glad to be able to bring it to you as well. So our leader, Lisa Valle, is coming around that final turn as she laps another competitor there at the north start-finish line. This is the women's 50 to 54, 1,500 meters. And look at that kick, not only in first place just because no one's chasing her, she's going for what may be a personal record or just finishing strong right around 5:31 for your winner and gold medalist in the 50 to 54 age category. That is Lisa Valle from New Mexico. Her official time, winning time, is 5:31.82. Finishing in second place in this heat, that is Wendell Satterwhite from Kentucky, and she posted a 5:47.91. Third place looks like it's going to be Rita Vigil, and she's still about 50 yards from the finish line. But look at fourth place, Laura Raintree, putting some pressure now on Vigil. Not going to be enough, and Vigil's going to cross for the bronze today. So it's a 1-3 finish for New Mexico with Kentucky in the middle. As your gold medalist is Lisa Valle with a 5:31. Wendell Satterwhite, the silver medalist from Kentucky, with a 5:47. And Rita Vigil from New Mexico, your silver medalist, with a 6:12. And yes, Laura Raintree was starting to put some pressure on the end there on Vigil. Laura Raintree finished with a 6:14. And Laura from North Carolina. And that's good enough for fourth place. So still 3 runners on the track competing and finishing up this 1,500-meter run walk. And you're looking at, so I think that's second to like that seventh. That's going to be Demetria Vasquez, I think, as you're watching her pass by the tent and the shot put area. You can see the high jump pit now. As she crosses that there with the tape, and the caution tape is the steeplechase hazard area right there. There's your that's your high jump pit in the right corner of your screen in the bottom right. And that is where the high jump is taking place. And yes, still 2 competitors watching the 6th place runner there, and that is Demetria Vasquez from New Mexico. So New Mexico going to go 1, 3, and 6 in this race. And as you would imagine, New Mexico has one of the largest contingents because we really didn't have to go anywhere to compete. But we really do admire the competitors from Florida, and Alabama, New York, Maine, who traveled the greatest distance to be here. Well, I guess unless you count Hawaii or Alaska. But I don't think I've seen any competitors from Hawaii or Alaska listed today just yet. But they have to be here, don't they? Somewhere. Somehow, got to be some Hawaiians. But I certainly have not looked at every name in every event of every level of every competition. So as they pop up, we certainly will mention them. But the winner of that heat of the 1500s, that was for women 50 to 54 years old, Lisa Valle from New Mexico with a 5:31.82. And our man on the scene, Fred Holberg, has tracked her down and is going to try and talk to her with an interview for her. Find out how she felt about her performance and her gold medal performance today, actually. So Fred has Lisa, and we are going to hear from Fred. Fred's got her. Fred, what do you think? Can you get Lisa on the air for us?
Okay, here we go. Hey, congratulations, Lisa. You're from Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Yes, that's right.
So now, how do you feel? Just let us know how this feels after the race is over.
Feels pretty good to be done. It was my first race for the season, so it was it just feels sluggish. Always first races do, but that's okay. You know, got to get it out of the way, so it feels pretty good.
So is this now, how many races are you racing this in the next 4 or 5 days?
I qualified for all the track events last year, but I'm just going to do the 15, the 8, and then probably the 4. I'm going to do the prelims in the 400 this afternoon.
Well, you know, just competing New Mexico against the rest of all the rest of the United States, we're now 3-3. New Mexico's won 3 times. You're from Alamogordo, New Mexico, and so it's kind of cool. We're doing pretty good, I'd say. What do you think?
Let's hear it for New Mexico. We love the crowd. We love the altitude. Other people probably don't, but it's a beautiful place. I'm glad people are here to run with us.
Great. Hey, well, look at the camera and I would say a couple more words. Just how happy you really are.
This is a great event. I'm really happy to be here, and I really love all the volunteers that have come and helped us, including, you know, like yourself. And so thank you all for being here, and we'll see you at the next one.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Okay, Mark, up the Dana.
Dana it is, and thank you, Fred. Nice interview. Again, Fred did touch on the fact that New Mexicans have won the first 3 of the events we've seen so far. Not that we're here just promoting the New Mexico athletes. That's just how it turned out so far. And Fred recognizing that fact, and certainly we're happy about that. But certainly love all of the other competitors, and not all of the winners are from New Mexico. So we'll remain unbiased and enjoy the competition and the spirit of the competition and all of the racers as we do get to talk to them as they finish their races. So you probably heard the starting gun for the next event, and that we are now into the men's division. And if you're a guy, what do you think you're going to be doing when you're 85 years old? I don't know if I'd be running in this race. This category is for men. This is the 1,500 meters. That's 4 times around. For men, 85 to 94 years old. So 90-year-old guys, they make a lot of jokes about 90-year-old guys, but this is not funny. This is actually very, very admirable that someone at that age would want to compete, is competing and getting around the track pretty good. Men, 85 to 94 in the 1,500 meters. Just saying it sounds like an impossibility, but we're watching it. And our leader is Leonard Leventhal from California. In fact, California in first and second place. So there you go. No New Mexico in this one. California, Leonard Leventhal is in first place. Bob Holmes in second. Right now, Joe Barger is holding down third place. He's from Texas. David Obshond from Illinois. George Mathis is in the race from Arizona. Donald Moffitt from Florida. Stanko Babanja from California. Bill Felton from Texas. Ralph Ricker from Florida. Robert Culling is from California. Stanley Moulton is from New Hampshire. And Robert Culling, California. Ralph Ricker, Florida. Those are your competitors in this heat. The first men's race of the day. It's the oldest age category for men 85 to 94 years old. I guess we don't have any 95 and ups like we did in the women's category. They had a They had a category that went to 104 years old. Staggering. It's amazing to think about. I'm only, well, pushing 60 in December and can't imagine running any of these races at the pace that these athletes do. And in some cases, even just running the distance. Our leader, way out there after just about a lap and a half, but it looks like he has almost a 50-yard lead over the rest of the field. And there's a pack of runners that are tightly grouped there for second, third, fourth, and fifth. And then the rest of them are scattered around the track. It is a run-walk. Some of these 90-year-old men doing the walk. Interesting, too, you know, we just had a big celebration in remembrance of D-Day and the invasion of Normandy. And 90-year-old guys were jumping out of planes and celebrating, remembering their time and being involved in that. But not many people from World War II still around, and the guys in this race were around and remember it, I'm sure. But those people are becoming fewer and farther between. Big part of the World War II effort as it relates to New Mexico were our code talkers, Navajos, who enlisted in the Marines and spoke their native language, which our enemy couldn't decipher. They couldn't crack that code, that Navajo language. So very integral in the efforts in the Pacific during World War II were some of our residents here from New Mexico and the Navajo Reservation, the code talkers. Often the Native Americans will fare very well in the distance events. We just had the state track meet here at this very track a few months ago, and that was the case. Moving along at a pretty good clip, Eno Cantu from Texas is your leader. George Mathis from Arizona is in second right now, and Robert Culling from California is in third. And you're watching the men's 1,500 meters for competitors that are 85 to 94 years old. 85 to 94. I'm thinking maybe I'm lucky to live to 80. These guys at 94 not only live that long, but are still active and getting around the track. It truly is amazing, especially when you think about a lot of the perceptions and the humor directed at the elderly, which a lot of it's valid, but this is one of the nicest, healthiest, funnest groups of seniors that I've ever had the opportunity to engage with and be around. The opening ceremonies last night were very enjoyable. A lot of them are here to compete seriously, but for the majority, just glad to be here and going to do their best and have some fun. Opening up a big lead now over the rest of the field is Eno Cantu from Texas. His last split was 3:31. Now somewhere in the 5.5 category, 5:31, 5:30 actually, his second split. And he has a pretty large lead over second place. In fact, I don't even see second place. Oh, here they are. Here's the group of three. They're back here just now coming down the straight past the press box. And that group of three, they're going to lap a few folks here. Current running order for the men. Wow, still can't believe it. 85 to 94. Current running order, your leader is Eno Cantu from Texas. Second place, George Mathis from Arizona. Robert Culling, California in third. Donald Moffat in fourth place from Florida. Now that second, third, and fourth place group, anybody, that could change. Anybody still has a chance there. But it looks like your gold medalist will be Eno Cantu. He's got a huge lead over that second, third, and fourth group. Also in the race in fifth place right now, David Aubuchon from Illinois. Stanko Burbanja from California. Then it's Stanley Moulton from New Hampshire, Bill Felton from Texas, Ralph Recker from Florida, Joe Barger from Texas, Bob Holmes from California, and Leonard Leventhal also from California. You are watching the 2019 National Senior Games live from Albuquerque, New Mexico at the University of New Mexico Track Complex. National Senior Games presented by Humana. And also supported by 5-star senior living. Hyatt Regency of Albuquerque, One Albuquerque. Growing Boulder. It's also brought to you by the state of New Mexico, Zibrio, Life Plan Communities, the New Mexico Senior Olympics, Presbyterian Hospitals, UNM Health Services, and Visit Albuquerque, your sponsors making the National Senior Games possible here in Albuquerque. As your winner crosses the finish line in the men's 1500, that's Inu Cantu from Texas, who finished with a 7:30.47 today, a 7:30.47 for your gold medalist Inu Cantu from Texas. I think we've just set another national record, or senior games record in that event. Let's see if we can verify that. Wow. Look at this gentleman finishing strong. That is going to be your second place finisher, Robert Culling from California. What a nice kick. Here's another nice kick. Maybe. Nope. Lead runner held up, and he's down at the finish line. Too much of a kick. We hope that gentleman's all right. But see what I mean? The mind and the desire. You have to be old to understand this. But the mind and the desire sometimes wants to do more than the body is capable. And there's an example of it right now. I'm sure he's proud of his finish. Donald Moffett from Florida finished with an 8:40.77.
Let's go back to that record. It is a national record. It would help if the government also would look at the next column, not the women's column, and it's the 85. Yeah, I know. It's my first track. In the 85 division, the old national record was 7:48. You see Mr. Cantu with a 7:30. You just got to see a national record.
And in case you could not hear that clearly, the old National Senior Games record was 7:48.40. And Inu Cantu just smashed that with a 7:30.46 that he turned in today in a gold medal effort. So 7:30.46 will be your new National Senior Games record. Your national record still stands. It's 7:19. And the USA record got crushed by almost 2 minutes. The USA record was 9:25. It now stands at 7:30. So quite a run, a record-setting gold medal performance we just witnessed from Texas's Inu Cantu. And I'm sure Fred will have a word with Inu in just a moment, see how he feels about that record-smashing performance and his gold medal time that he turned in. Second, officially, George Mathis from Arizona with an 8:34.19. Third place, bronze medalist Robert Culling from California with an 8:40.10. And not far behind, less than a second, in fact, was Donald Moffett from Florida, who was a gentleman that fell down as he crossed the line trying to make up that gap. Pretty impressive, those two men finishing less than a second apart from each other. Then the rest of the field starts to appear. In fifth place, Stanko Bubanja from California finished with a 9:45. In sixth place was David Aubuchon from Illinois with a 10:18.71. Seventh place today, Stanley Moulton from New Hampshire, 10:34.13. Eighth place is Bill Felton from Texas with a 10:50. That's 10:50.72. And still on the track, Ralph Ricker, Bob Holmes, Joe Barger, and Leonard Leventhal. Your winner, Inu Cantu, was number 12. He's 86 years old. 86 years old. Oldest competitor in the race is Joe Barger, 94 years old. Joe Barger from Texas. Also, Bob Holmes is 91. Leonard Leventhal is 91. And everybody else still a spry, 85, 88. Pretty amazing to A, live that long, and B, to be this competitive at this race. Wow, let's now talk to our gold medalist and record holder, Eno Cantu from Texas, and our buddy Fred Holberg is on the scene. And Fred, do you have Eno? Let's hear what Eno has to say, Fred.
Hey, back to the Senior Nationals in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and boy, do we have another national record for the State Games of America. It's Eno Cantu from San Marcos, Texas, and listen to this time. He ran a 7:30:47, and the record was 7:48. He broke it by 18 seconds, like I before when this Colleen Burns broke it. She did. You're doing just like she did. How are you doing this?
Well, youth. I'm still young. I do a lot of work. I do a lot of speed work and just a little bit of distance for endurance. And I do a lot of cross training, basically gym work every other day. And I run every other day. And I do my best to stay healthy. I eat just the right portions that I need to, and I stay away from sweets, fats, things like that. Try to eat more vegetables. And other than that, my genes have helped me so far, and hopefully they'll continue.
Well, I do just the opposite. Am I doing wrong? No, I'm not really. No, I'm pretty healthy for my age too, but that is important. Health is what you eat, what you do. I mean, did you really think you could break the record by that much?
I was very confident.
By that much?
Oh, yes. I ran about 6 months ago. I ran the 1,500 in, just a minute. 20. I beat the American record, but it didn't count because it wasn't. Oh my gosh!
Sanctioned?
Yeah, it wasn't sanctioned.
Yeah.
But I did come back and won the mile, the indoor national masters. Got set a world record.
Okay.
And set one when I was 8, another world record in the mile, and 800 meters, the American master records. Both cool. 80 and then 85 now, and now this one.
Okay.
So.
Hey, well, look at the camera right up there, okay. And let San Marcos, Texas, know how happy you are and how for San Marcos today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Okay, good. Hey, the next race is the 800, right? 2-3 days. Okay, good luck. I'll be here.
Thank you. Okay.
Hey, nice job, Fred. Congratulations, Eno. And he touched on a lot of things that we've kind of been hovering around, but one thing I forgot to mention, just the natural genes. He said, yeah, I guess my genes are doing well for me. That young man is 86 years old. He said he was young, and I really liked what he had to say about his training, his diet, and how he goes about it. He's got some gym work, some strength training. I really like what he said about portion size. I think one of the problems with America is portion size. When we started to supersize and upsize our drive-through meals, all of a sudden, you can't get into your airplane seat anymore for a majority of Americans. But Eno touched on it there, portion size. You watch what's he eat, he stays away from the sweets, and he trains very hard. So good job, and it shows. But the funniest part about that interview for me was after all these amazing athletic accomplishments, the hardest part about that interview for Eno was remembering what his time was last time he competed. So the hips, the muscles, the heart, the lungs might be working well on a lot of these guys, but the mind. I just ran a what? That's good stuff. If you're in the demographic like I am, you are amused and appreciate that. When you see it in other people. When you see yourself doing it, it's concerning and kind of frightening. But when you see other people doing it, it's actually kind of funny. What you're looking at is the long jump pit, and that is located at the north end of the field here at the University of New Mexico Track Complex. And let's see if we can find out who the competitors are as we watch this jumper here. Up and over. Looks like they're doing running the back over first. So let's see here. We are looking for field events. By the way, if you download the app, as I did, and the device I'm using, the app I'm using to get this information, it's an app, it's free, and it's called Finished Results. You can keep track of all of the track and field events that are happening simultaneously. We're showing you and we're broadcasting the races, but also going on, as you can see, the high jump. On the east side of the track, we've got a long jump. And there's some shot put happening in the south end, and we also have the disc flying from the north end of the track. So let us take a look at the men's high jump. Looks like we're looking at jumpers that are 60 to 64 years old. Record is 1.75 meters. The USA record is 1.73 meters. And your jumpers in flight 1, Steve Green from Texas, Dave Euchre from Florida, Alexander Semilov from Massachusetts, Edward Troy from Colorado. I think he's jumping now. Unsuccessful attempt there. Stephen Pranger from Mississippi, Bob Cooper from Florida, John Alleray from California, Steve Schutt from Iowa, Lawrence Finley is from Ohio, also from Ohio, David Bell. Edwin Osterman is jumping today. Fred Dumalo from Texas. Edwin is from Ohio, Fred from Texas. Ira Allen, he's from Washington. Brian Sundheimer from New Mexico. James Perro from Washington. A lot of high jumpers today in just this category. Jeff Brower from Texas. Gary Myers from Colorado. Brian Hankerson is from Florida. Kim Nielsen, Nevada. Thomas Foley, Massachusetts. Bruce McBarnett from Virginia. Peter Halvin from California. Scott Evans, Ohio. Greg Cloud, Oklahoma. Arthur Hinton from Georgia. And Pat McNamara from Texas. Now you're watching Kim Nielsen from Nevada. His best jump, not posted, I apologize. The high jump bar is now set at 1.3 meters. 1.3 meters, that's 4 feet 3 1/4 inches. Edwin Osterman is your next jumper from Florida. Sorry, Edwin is from Ohio. And we are in flight 1 of the high jump. And again, the bar is set. Now the bar is going up to 1.3 meters, which is 4 feet 3 1/4 inches. 4 feet 3 1/4 inches. The first jumper will be Thomas Foley from Massachusetts. Again, the National Senior Games record for this event, 1.75 meters. So we're still a good half a meter away. Although they are moving the bar, they just moved it up again to 1.3. The USA record is 1.73, and that is for jumpers, men's high jumpers, 60 to 64 years old.
All right, friends, we have this one last gentleman on Father's Day to finish this 1500 race.
Oh, yes. Well, now that we're into the men's categories, and my phone's been going off, I haven't answered it, but happy Father's Day. Since I'm missing on my messages, I'll send one to you. Josh, happy Father's Day. Thanks, Josh. First message I got today. Where's my son? Don't know. No, he's 25. He's in California. He's having a good time. So the fact that he doesn't need to call Dad every 5 minutes, I think, is a great thing. But it would be nice to hear from him today. We do have one runner still on the track, and this is impressive. Leonard Leventhal. He's going to compete. He's got his hat. He's got his determination and his pride. And although it's nice to recognize and get the winners and the gold medalists and the record setters on the screen and talk to them, this is very impressive. This is really nice. Now he's going to pick it up and maybe finish with a little bit of a kick in the last 5 yards. And yes, he is. He's high steps it through the finish line. That is a great Senior Games moment. Senior Games brought to you by Humana, your title sponsor. We appreciate all they have done to make the Senior Games here in Albuquerque possible. Thank you to Humana. Also like to recognize some of our other sponsors, including 5-Star Senior Living, Hyatt Regency of Albuquerque, right downtown across from the Civic Plaza where we had the opening ceremonies last night. Very enjoyable. One Albuquerque, Growing Boulder, the state of New Mexico, Zibrio, Humana, we mentioned, Life Plan Communities, New Mexico Senior Olympics, Presbyterian Hospitals, UNM Health Services, and Visit Albuquerque, your sponsors for the 2019 National Senior Games right here in Albuquerque. And they are not just sponsoring the track and the field, but all of the games. You'll see those logos and recognition dealies around every competitive site. Using a lot of our resources here in Albuquerque as well. Some senior centers being used for pickleball. We're using the University of New Mexico track. I think maybe some high schools are being used for other events. We have shuffleboard. The list of events is amazing. And when you consider the number of people involved, it's pushing 14,000 and could be a record event, a world record multi-sport event. The next heat of the men's 1500 is underway, and this is for men that are 80 to 84 years old. Men 80 to 84, and the runners in this heat from Minnesota, Sherwood Sajdal. Jose Badillo is from Nebraska. Carlos Cobos from Tennessee. Elmo Strohshire from California. Norm Bovey from Michigan. Maybe it's Norm Beavy from Michigan. Christopher Rush from New York. Brian Peacock, Michigan. Brian Peacock, Michigan. Dick Krogan from New Mexico. Harold Smith, Florida. And Jerry White, Michigan. Those are your competitors in this heat of the men's 1500 for men 80 to 84 years old. We appreciate you watching this broadcast of the National Senior Games. Again, it's not just track and field. There are events happening all over the city of Albuquerque, and we are using all kinds of different resources that are available to us. And, of course, relied heavily on a lot of volunteers. So thank you so much to the volunteers. Some of the larger corporations around New Mexico, too, actually encouraged their employees to volunteer and will pay them for their volunteer time. So they're calling it paid volunteerism, which is an oxymoron. But however it gets done, and as long as it allows the games to go on, we appreciate it. And way to go, giant New Mexico corporations, paying your employees to come here and help. That is one Albuquerque combining to get it done, and New Mexico as well. So thank you to all of our sponsors, all of the volunteers, everyone involved in making this happen, including our producer, Joshua Brown. He's the one choosing the pictures. We have Jude up on top of the press box in that New Mexico sun, and he's the one operating the camera. The men 80 to 84. Record in this event, in this category, is 6 minutes, 14 seconds. That's the National Senior Games record. And the USA record, about 10 seconds faster at 6:04. Fastest qualifier is from Minnesota. That's Sherwood Sajdal. He qualified with a 6:26. So well off the record, but we'll watch a competitive race. 3.5 minutes into the race. Sherwood, the leader of the race, is 80. Jose from Nebraska is 81. Carlos Cobos is 80. Elmo's 83. Norm is 80. Christopher 83. Brian 81. Dick 84. Harold is 83. And Jerry White from Michigan is 83 years old. Amazing. In the 80 to 84-year-old category to have 10 competitors. And They're making their way around the track. We are looking at our leader as he comes around the final turn. That's Sherwood Sagedahl from Minnesota. Again, Sherwood, 80 years old. Well, maybe that's why he's dominating the category. He's the youngest dude in the 80 to 84s. Last year, at 79, he was the oldest guy. He was probably, getting outrun by the 75-year-old dudes. But this is his moment. He's finishing first at about 4:45 in the 1,500-meter run. I mean, the split there, not the finish. Still has a lap to go. Second place is Jose Badillo from Nebraska. Carlos Cobos is from Tennessee in third. And the rest of the running order for this heat is Norm Bovey, Dick Krogan, Christopher Rush, Elmo Strothshire, Brian Peacock, Harold Smith, and Jerry White. But your leader is Sherwood, and Sherwood has a gigantic lead over the rest of the field. Everybody's still running, even though it's an 80 to 84 age category. It's kind of a run-walk, and we have seen some walkers in some of the races, but all of these gentlemen are still running, technically. And look to be holding up pretty well. There's your leader right there, coming around the final turn, down the stretch in front of the press box. That is your leader. Going to be the gold medalist, Sherwood Sagedahl from Minnesota, finishing strongly. And finishes at around 6:36. His official time, 6:36.42 for the gold medal in the men 80 to 84 years old. Sherwood Sagedahl from Minnesota, congratulations on your gold medal performance time of 6:36.42. Jose Badillo from Nebraska, looks like he's going to finish in second place, and he does. His finishing time, 7 minutes even, 7 minutes and 39/100ths of a second as you watch the finish line. Your third place competitor making his way down the back stretch, or down the front stretch now, that's Carlos Cobos from Tennessee. Carlos with about 20 minutes to go. It's going to be good, or 20 yards to go. That's going to be good enough for a bronze medal today for Carlos Cobos from Tennessee as he crosses the finish line after his 1,500 meters. Cobos, third place with a 7:34 even. Here's a battle for fourth and fifth. At fourth and fifth, let's see who gets that. That's close between Bovey and Strothshire. It looks like Elmo edged out Norm. Elmo Strothshire from California just edged out Norm Bovey from Michigan. 7:45.60 and 7:45.73. That was close. And a nice come from behind by Elmo to finish in fourth. Sixth place now. Dick Krogan has crossed the line. Dick from New Mexico finishes with a 7:59.43. Christopher Rush was finished in seventh place. Christopher from New York. His finishing time today, 8 minutes, 3 seconds, and 35/100ths. 8:03.35. And still on the track, Harold Smith and Brian Peacock. So nice run by Sherwood Sagedahl for the gold medal in the men 80 to 84 age category in this 1,500-meter run. While we wait for the rest of our competitors to complete this heat, I'll remind you that coming up beginning at noon, that's noon Mountain Time, currently here in the Mountain Time Zone, it's 10:27. So coming up at noon Mountain Time, we'll begin the sprints with the women's 50-meter dash. And after we finish all of the men's and women's categories of the 50, we will move on to the 400. And the 400 should get underway about 3 o'clock this afternoon. But we're still way back into the 1,500 meter categories. And we're watching two competitors finish. Mentioned earlier that it was a run walk and most of the runners were running, but these final two guys, one of them is definitely walking. But we'll encourage him and we'll wait while he gets his turn. He's earned his right to be here, earned his right to compete. And who knows, he could be doing the best he's ever done. He could be having the time of his life right now. But we'll wait as he finishes, still has about 3/4 of a lap to go. Opening ceremonies last night were enjoyable. All of the usual things you would expect with the entrance of the torch and the lighting of the Olympic flame. By the way, the Olympic flame is located downtown Albuquerque. It's burning, and it's located on Civic Plaza right there in part of the Olympic Village. If you want to hang out with the athletes and watch what's happening on the big screen, you can do that. It's down in the Olympic Village, which is in downtown Albuquerque, across from the Hyatt and the Albuquerque Convention Center, but a nice big open space where Albuquerque has all kinds of different events. And last night it was the site of the opening ceremonies for the 2019 Senior Games. We're so proud to be having them here in Albuquerque and in New Mexico. It is a beautiful place. The quality of life is very enjoyable, is diverse, is probably as diverse as you could find anywhere in the United States. And that's one of our strengths. We are the only state to have a symbol. That's right. It's kind of a logo. It's on our flag. It's called the Zia. It's copyrighted, so don't be printing it on your business and business cards and putting it on the side of your pickup truck unless you contact the fine folks at the Zia Pueblo. At least get usage rights or permission. And they deserve it. It's a beautiful symbol. It's used on all kinds of different things. And not everybody does pay the right. There are a lot of Zia companies in New Mexico, but not everyone has legitimately paid them. They thought that was in the public domain because it's in such common use, but it's not. I remember Southwest Airlines painted one of their planes with the Zia symbol, and they paid. And it was great. It was a nice story. So it's a very cool symbol. What it is, it's the circle with the 4 lines coming out of each direction, north, the south, and the east, and the west. And each of those 4 lines represents something. One group of 4 lines represents the 4 seasons. Another group represents the 4 stages of your life. And so there's symbolism, there's meaning to the symbolism of the Zia. And you see it lots of places. And the Zia symbol itself kind of is a interpretation of the sun, which is a very important part of our daily life here in New Mexico. And look at that. How about that for pride and finishing strongly? That's Harold Smith from Florida, and he's going to get a nice hand as he crosses the yes, all right. As he says, thanks for waiting. Harold has finished this heat of the men's 1,500 meters. Your winner, gold medalist in the category of men 80 to 84 years old, was Sherwood Sagedahl from Minnesota. His gold medal time was 6:30.642. And Fred, our associate here at ProView Sports, is down on the track, and he's been talking to the competitors, the winners, and anybody else he can get a hold of. Fred actually runs the New Mexico Senior Games, so he is the right guy to have down there on the track talking to the competitors. And he's just going to try and get a hold of the winner. In the meantime, we'll remind you that this broadcast will continue throughout the day. We'll be on Monday as well. And we'll be on actually all the way through Thursday until about 3 in the afternoon. All of the television broadcasting and news that we disseminate about the National Senior Games will come from here, from the track. And but we'll try to bring you info on many of the other events happening around Albuquerque. As again, there are all the Olympic events and then some are part of the 2019 National Senior Games. And it's brought to you by the title sponsor, Humana. Also, local sponsors getting involved, 5-Star Senior Living, Hyatt Regency of Albuquerque, One Albuquerque. Also sponsoring the 2019 National Senior Games, Growing Boulder, the state of New Mexico, Zibrio, Life Plan Communities, New Mexico Senior Olympics, Presbyterian Hospitals, UNM Health Services, and Visit Albuquerque. And UNM Health Services, that's University of New Mexico. Next heat in the men's 1,500 meters is underway, and this is for men 75 to 79. Men 75 to 79, that event is underway. At 10:30, right on time. Men 75 to 79. A lot of runners in this race. 15, in fact, 16. The runners in order of qualifying time, Kent Blair from New Mexico. Jack Wakowitz from Maine. Robert O'Rourke from New Jersey. And as they come by the press box, first turn, that is number 1 and number 4 and number 3. 1, 4, and 3, that's Kent Blair, Stephen Sanfilippo, and Robert O'Rourke. 106, roughly, the split for your leader. And that is Kent Blair from New Mexico. We will check the app finished results to see the actual running order in this actual race. It is real time. Not only can you get that information provided to you on this free app, finished results, but you'll be able to get events from all of the other track and field events. As again, you're watching what's happening on the track, but going on in the background are jumping events, high jump, long jump. We have shot put, we have disc, all happening at the same time. So if you want to keep track of all of the events and we haven't shown your field event or mentioned your competitor, you can get those results live in real time with a free app, Finished Results. We use it. Using it right now as I look and see that Kent Blair is in first place from New Mexico. Steven Sanfilippo from California in second. Robert O'Rourke third. He's from New Jersey. Eric Yarborough from North Carolina currently in fourth. Jim Asai from Pennsylvania running next. Charles Imboden is from Tennessee. Jim Horton, New Jersey. John Ahrens from Arizona. Vincent Marciona is from Georgia. Robert Zukas represents Pennsylvania. Don Wright is from Minnesota. Jack Wakowitz from Maine. John Hinman from Ohio. George Kublek from Florida. Richard Rivera from New Mexico. Alex Meyer, Nebraska. And Thomas Wins from New Mexico. Those are your competitors in this heat of the men's 1,500 meters. And again, for men 75 to 79 years old. The groupings stay closer together and the times drop as we get lower in age category, as you might imagine. You know, for most seniors, though, doing anything at 75 is amazing. But to be out here running and competing at 70-something is truly amazing. I guess it's something that most of us, I guess, could only hope for. Or maybe look at these people and wonder why. But they're doing it, and it is inspiring. You know, it proves that age is just a number. If you stay in shape and you watch your diet and stay on it, you can live a long time and be healthy and still be vital, even at 75. And still be engaged in life and having a lot of fun. You have friends, a lot of camaraderie involved in this. Get some attention. There are fans here, and you're watching on TV, so a lot of positive benefits.